Guys, so first of all, I do apologize if I sound a little blah. I'm getting over a bit of an allergy cold. You know how it is. You think you got rid of it, or at least you kind of subdued it, and all of a sudden it just comes back. Well, it's because of the weather. I mean, God has a reason for the weather being what it is. He has a reason. But yeah, it's one of those weather patterns, especially here in Central California, to where, you think, it's all right. You get into that spring, warm spring, summer-like weather, and then all of a sudden, here comes winter, one last blast, and like, not so fast. So, yeah, it's one of those situations. But I'm good. I'm really good and everything. It's just, yeah, one of those moments, or one of those times, I should say, to where you just got to be prepared no matter what the weather's for what the weather's going to bring, basically. And it's interesting because the high today is 61 degrees. Tomorrow's going to be like 76, almost to 80, and it's going to be sunny. It's like, make up your mind. But again, God has a reason for the weather being what it is. Also, I do apologize if you hear any vroom vroom sounds. Those are going to be like Facebook Messenger, text messaging, Instagram, TikTok, coming in with the notifications. I do apologize for that. I also apologize if you hear a big boom. That's going to be from my bank letting me know if something declined. Hopefully not, because it's the last Sunday of the month, so I don't think I or anybody else has anything to worry. But with that said, let's get on to the topic at hand here. Now, yesterday, VivziePop and her team on the second day of the LVLUP Expo, the LVLUP Expo, Level Up Expo convention, they gave more detail as to what is going on with Helluva Boss moving over, or at least now being part of Prime Video along with Has Been Hotel. Now, there had been some talk that, something behind, there was something behind the scenes wise to where, this may or may have not happened, in the past, or this wasn't possible of happening, or something like that. But it wasn't until basically Has Been Hotel, and this is according to some people that reported on it, Has Been Hotel overtook another adult animated show that Amazon Prime is known for, and that is Invincible, which is based on the comic book series. Basically, Has Been Hotel overtook that in popularity. That is huge. They overtook that in popularity. That is huge. So yeah, basically, long story short, essentially, that's what convinced, I think, Amazon Prime to, give Helluva Boss a chance to come over and be part of it. Now, what they also did at this on the second day of the expo is they gave a sneak peek to a future Helluva Boss short coming in late June, basically a little over a month and a half from now, focusing on Loona and Blitzo. And what's interesting about this is, it focuses on them going on a hit mission, because of who they are. And Luna's wondering, okay, like, why is it the two of us? What's this target? What's going on? And Blitzo kind of reveals that their target is a father or somebody in charge, father-like figure at a nursery. And Luna's just like, are you serious? But Blitzo's like, hey, I thought it would be an easy target, and hey, it gives us an opportunity to spend daddy-daughter time, And you can kind of tell that Luna's still kind of rebellious. Like, it's not a total, reset thing on her. No. It's not a total reset thing on her. What it is that she still loves Blitzo. She said that at the end of Mastermind. She showed that in Sinsmith. So she still loves him, but she still has a bit of that, I guess you could say, rebellious nature of, hey, I love you. There's no doubt about that, but please, keep it to a minimum when we're out in public. So yeah, it's one of those situations to where, again, nothing's really changed with her growth in her relationship with Blitzo. It's just that she still has that rebellious side of her, from having affection shown to her publicly by him, or at least, in that capacity. Anyway, the way the short goes is she does shapeshift into a human form, and she basically lets it be known when she encounters him, hey, I'm from where, here to take you out and everything. But what's interesting about this guy, and a lot of people made this comparison, is he's like a Ned Flanders-like character. Yeah, he's like a Ned Flanders-like character. From the way from way his, I'm trying to find the right words. From the way he's designed to where he dresses, he's basically in the way he acts. Very Ned Flanders-like, if you will, very Ned Flanders-like. Anyway, to get to the point, he's all too willing, I guess, just because of the way he is, to accept his fate. He's not questioning like, what did I ever do and everything, and I'm not gonna go down without a fight and everything. And no, he's more like, oh, okay, no problem, I'm cool with that. Do what you gotta do. Very. I hate to say it in this manner. And God forgive me, but the way he makes it sound is he's very, not just Ned Flanders-like, but very GAY-like, if you will. I'll put it that way. Try to be very humble. And again, nothing against that. No offense. I say that with all due respect, no offense. But he's very, a certain way, if you will, or acts that way. And what's interesting about it is that Loona gets reluctant. Like, she doesn't really want to do this now. And then Blitzo's like, what's going on? And, and everything. And, again, the guy, that's the way he acts, is he's willing to accept it. He's willing to accept what's going to happen. And, Blitzo, I guess he kind of forgets that he's working with his daughter and not, like Moxie or Millie. So what happens is that, Blitzo is like, basically saying the guy's being a total DICK and everything. And Luna's like, what would be so wrong for him to spend a few more minutes with his kids and stuff like that. And again, Blitzo points to the guy saying he's being a DICK, but then when he sees Loona folding her arms and looking down a little bit, kind of like disappointed or somber, basically I think it wakes Blitzo up like, oops, I just said the wrong thing, or I just said what I shouldn't have said. And then he tells the guy, okay, fine, make it quick, make it 5 minutes or something like that. Or he's like, you got 5 minutes, make it quick. And that's how they end the sneak peek. But I think we all know, just by looking at the way this short's playing out, I think we can kind of all see exactly what's going to go, because it's a Loona and Blitzo short after season 2. So basically, what do you think would be the most predictable, outcome of this short? Obviously, them bonding even stronger by seeing this guy bond with his kids, willing to say goodbye to them, in a very loving way to accept this fate. I think we can all, again, see where this is going, and I think we can all see that at the end, they're just going to relent. They're going to be like, no, dude, we're not going to do it. You spend time with your kids, and when the time does come, we'll let you know. So I think that's what's going to happen. Again, now, here's the thing, though. VivziePop, not again, I was going to say again, I do apologize, but what I meant to say is, again, this is what happens when you do things unscripted. You kind of think about one thing you're going to say, and then you want to say something else that, you got to improvise, But anyway, knowing VivziePop as we do, she might put a twist on this. She might put a twist on it and give him a reason to take the, to take the guy out. To take the guy out and everything. And that might happen too. But, just because based on the way the guy is presented, it's like, yeah, there's something off about this guy. They're going to take him out. But then again, maybe not. It might go exactly as, we're predicting. It might go in a way that essentially, strengthens the bond between Loona and Blitzo as father and daughter. And they're going to let the guy live for a little longer until the time comes again for them to come and take him out, maybe when his kids are older or grown up or whatever. But again, I think we can kind of all see where this is heading. Now, for anybody that's wondering whether or not will this short have any significance on what happens in season 3, no, it won't. Because if that was the case, then Millie, bonding with her sister, I'm just turning on the fans here in the house. but Millie bonding with her sister, you know, in Hell's Bells, that short from last year, that would have had significance that would have had some significance on season 2, but it didn't. The only connection that we did get was when Millie called his sister up to let her know she was pregnant. And that's it. That's it. So basically, long story short, you don't have to worry about this having any significance whatsoever, on the overall arc of season 3. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about that, whatsoever, period. You don't have to worry about it. Now, you might ask, well, what makes you think that, Brian? What makes you think it won't have no significance or connection? Well, again, Hell's Bells would have had a connection, but it didn't, except for when Millie called her sister. If you want to look at that as a connection, fine, go ahead. But these shorts are only done to, make up for time, to fill out time, because as Vizzy likes to keep reminding people, and she had, her characters remind people in the announcement video, animation takes time. So these little shorts are here to kind of fill in certain gaps. Now, with that said, though, the reason I feel that they're not going to have no real significance whatsoever or be referenced in any shape or form, in the upcoming season, is because of the fact that, as you all know, I'm a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm a fan of Sonic SATM. And back in season 2, they did these 2 episodes that had 2 11-minute shorts in them. 3 of the 11-minute shorts were Antoine-based, were Antoine-focused. While 1 was Tails focused. But still, long story short, after those shorts were done, they had no significance whatsoever, on the rest of season 2. They had no significance, or reference made in the Dulcie episode. They had no significance or reference made in the Void episode. They had no reference or acknowledgement made in the Doomsday Project episodes, Cry of the Wolf, Druid Head, Spy Hog, you name it. They had none of that. None of that. In other words, they were basically looked at as non-canon because ABC was the ones that wanted them. But again, that's why I believe when you look at these shorts from last year and this upcoming June, you don't have to worry whether or not they'll have a significant reference or connection to the upcoming season, because they won't. So you don't have to worry about that. Secondly, Vizzy also explained more, kind of elaborated more as to why the move to Prime is huge for Helluva Boss. Because for anybody that's watched Helluva Boss on YouTube, a lot of people have noticed that YouTube has certain restrictions and guidelines. I mean, I think we all know that based on personal experience. I know that, and I'm sure a lot of you do. But they have certain restrictions and guidelines. So basically, what that means is there are certain scenes that were either edited down, left on the cutting room floor, or certain words that were either re-edited to be something else or bleeped out, for certain reasons, as well as there were certain, I guess you could say, objects, certain objects that were pixelated into censorship, for the episodes. They were pixelated into censorship in some of the episodes. Now, there were some moments where certain objects did get shown uncensored, but that's mainly because you couldn't really tell what they were. I mean, let's take a look at the fight scene, okay? Let's take a look at the fight scene between the imps and the dorks, if you will, where the dorks had these new mecha-like suits they were using. Let's take a look at that scene, that little fight scene and everything. Basically, Millie got blasted into a adult store, into a sex store, okay? And the way she was able to, I guess you could say, throw off the female Chirby, was she threw certain objects at her from the store. Now, at first, you probably couldn't. At first, when you would first see the episode of the fight scene, you probably couldn't tell what they were. But when you watch it, over and over and take a closer look, even slowing it down, you could tell exactly what those objects were that she threw at the lamp, threw at the Sherby, if you will. Those objects that Millie threw out of the store were dildos. We'll put it that way. They were dildos. That's what they were. End of story. And for some odd reason, though, when you get to the fight scene, I don't know if it's in the episode before or after. I think it's before. But when you get to the climactic scene, where Millie and Blitzo are coming to Mox's aid because Mox got kidnapped and is being forced by his father, I think uncle or father, to be put into a marriage that he doesn't want no part of. Basically a GAY marriage. I say with all due respect, no offense, but one of those marriages, if you will. When you get the fight scene with Millie battling all of Chaz's goons, if you will, that's his name, Chaz's goons. There are certain objects, depicted that are blurred out. Obviously, those objects, of course, as we have noticed, as I said before, are DIDLOs, if you will, dillos, if you will. That's what they are. But they're blurred out. Well, not blurred out, but they're pixelated out. So Vizzy's basically saying that the one thing about going to Prime Video is you don't have to worry about any of that being done. She basically said that going to Prime Video, you're going to get to see all of Season 3 and the previous 2 seasons as they were originally meant to be seen. Uncut, raw, uncensored. Period. Nothing left out. You want a certain scene to be the way it is, it's going to happen. Period. Now, they did allude to a certain moment, if you will, a certain moment of insertion, if you will, that's going to take place, that should have took place on the original airing, but because of YouTube's guidelines and restrictions, did not. No, they did not. So it's going to happen, in the uncut version, in the way it's supposed to be seen. Now, what that means for the other episodes as well that came previously, like I said, they're going to be shown as they were originally meant to be seen. Uncensored, uncut, nothing left. Nothing left on the cutting room floor. In fact, stuff that was taken out is going to be inserted back in. And why do I say that? Well, it's real simple. When you look at certain episodes, you look at the length and everything, the lengths they have. Some of the episodes are shorter than, most of them. Some of them are short by 5 minutes. Some are short by 7 minutes. And you're thinking, what happened? Is this it? What's going on? That's because of the fact that certain moments and scenes were taken out because of YouTube's restrictions and guidelines. So with Prime, you don't have to worry about that anymore. You don't have to worry about those things being left out. In fact, those moments that were left out, in the original seasons, they will be allowed to be seen, on Amazon Prime. And knowing VivziePop like we should, or at least following her like we have, VivziePop probably has backed up a lot of the uncut episodes from season 1 and 2, just in case she'd ever get an opportunity to have them seen, as she originally meant for them to be seen on a different platform. And that platform, in this case, is going to be Prime. So that's kind of cool. And what's interesting is this does kind of relate to something I mentioned in another audio video talking about this. I mentioned in there that the reason, the episodes are going to go into Prime first and then show up on YouTube as usual a month or so later is basically it'll give VivziePop and her crew enough time, if they have to censor certain moments, in the episodes, that were originally seen in the Prime airing. It will allow them time to censor out those moments, as well as take out certain scenes and everything that don't, I guess you could say, live up to YouTube's guidelines and restrictions. Now, I would not be surprised that if she puts an annotate and a notion, if you will, or at least a description, if you will, some kind of forward, if you will, some kind of forwarding, if you will. That's the word I'm looking for, forwarding. I would not be surprised if she put some kind of forwarding at the beginning of every episode saying, hey, if you want to see the uncut version, go to Prime Video. So I would not be surprised if she does that. So yeah, that's the reason. That's the big reason she wanted to make this deal with Prime, happen. So that way she can get the episodes, aired and showcased as she originally meant them to be done. Also, Prime has made it be known that they are going to help back the production financially. Not fully, but they're going to back some of the production full. They're not going to do it full time. Prime is going to back it up a bit. Like, they'll help out financially, like with the animation and production and all that, to try to get the episodes out quicker than usual. But they're not going to be fully backing it financially. They're going to back up some of it, but the rest is still going to be up to the fans. And as the old saying goes, animations takes time. Yes, Prime Video, Amazon backing them up financially in some way is going to help things be done faster, but not, but not as fast as like, okay, next episode comes out next week. No, it's going to take time. It's going to take time. So, yeah, overall, it's great news and everything. It's great news as to, again, as I've said before, as to Helluva Boss getting onto Prime Video, because it's going to help Vizzy, showcase the episode as it was originally meant to be seen. Now, there are some issues people have with it, though. One, because the episodes will be seen first on Prime Video before showing up on YouTube, there is a chance for spoilers. Yes, that is a risk. That is a risk, if you will. There are a chance for spoilers, but here's the catch, though. Here's the catch. Yes, people will probably spoil what happens before you see it on YouTube. But what's interesting in the catch about it is basically they're going to spoil it, but they're going to say, hey, if you're only going to watch it on YouTube, I recommend you get Prime. They're going to probably tell people that and say, the reason you want to get Prime is because even though I've spoiled most of what just happened, there are certain moments in there that you can only see on the Prime version, and you have to see that. So, so there is that risk. You get spoilers, but I don't think the spoilers are going to be as bad as you think they're going to be. Now, some say that, well, it's going to hurt the YouTube algorithm for VivziePop on her channel with the episodes. Not specifically, because there are going to be those that will watch the episodes from season 1 and 2, uncut, uncensored, and everything when they go to Prime, and then they're going to compare them to the YouTube versions, and they might say, well, not really much changed. All they did was add in this scene and say this word and all that, but not really much changed. Because they would have been more accustomed. They would have been more accustomed to what YouTube, brought to the table for them originally. So they might say, yeah, it's nice that they added in this scene, or it's nice they letting all this be seen finally, or letting, these words be said, but not really much has changed. And that'll be it. So it's not going to, I don't think it's going to hurt the algorithm when it comes to the show on YouTube that much. It won't. It won't hurt it that much whatsoever. I think, if anything, it's going to help them. It's going to help the algorithm because people are going to go out of the way to make comparison videos between the season 1 and 2 episodes and the season 3 episodes to see what was left out, what was edited, and give explanations as to why they shouldn't have left that out and why they should have kept that in, That's all they're going to do. So it's going to help it in the long run because it's going to allow content creators to want to make comparison videos in the future. And that's going to happen. But yeah, spoilers are a risk. But the other thing, too, that people probably seem to not really realize, if you will, the one thing, too, that some people don't seem to realize and everything is that mostly everybody out there has a Prime membership. They do. They have a Prime membership and everything that they utilize. They have those. They have a Prime membership. I have one. Mine's due in August. But I do have a Prime membership. And I like it because it not only allows me to, get free shipping on a lot of items and everything that are Prime, that you can get directly from Prime, Amazon Prime, but it allows me to watch Prime Video. It allows me to, share my Movies Anywhere library with it so that I have another outlet outside of Fandango at home, in the Movies Anywhere app as well to watch my movies on, as well as it also has movies that are only exclusive to it, that you can purchase because of certain license, distributor licenses, if you will. So, everybody obviously, has a Prime membership because of those reasons, like I just mentioned for me. So, I don't think we have to worry too much about spoilers getting out or anybody being spoiled because everybody's going to be watching the episode, if you will, as it comes out or when they can on Prime Video. And again, going back to what I said earlier, the only reason that people will still watch it on YouTube, and they will, is to make comparison videos. That's it. That is all. So, yeah, basically, spoilers, as I said, is a risk. It is a risk and everything, but I don't think we have to worry too much because the majority of people in the country, if not around the world, have a Prime membership. They do. They have a Prime membership because of all the benefits it comes along with it, I should say. They have a Prime membership because of all the benefits that come with it. And at the end of the day, spoilers will happen, but not as bad as you think they are. And the only reason people will still watch the YouTube versions, and they will, is because of the fact that they'll want to make comparison videos. Now, the other thing too about the episodes being on Prime, and the same goes for YouTube, is you also, I think, have the option to download the episodes. You do. And you can download them by purchasing them. Because that's another thing that's going to happen, whether people want to believe that or not. These episodes will not just be Prime exclusive. The show won't just be on Prime, as a regular OG streaming show or whatever you want to call it, but it'll also be available to purchase. What that means is you can purchase it, download it, and if possible, and I'm sure people have already done this, if possible, you'll be able to burn it to a DVD or a Blu-ray and have it to watch on physical media. That's the other thing that's good about this too. You can do that. You'll be able to do that. I'm sure people are able to do that now with YouTube Premium. That's fine. But Prime membership helps you do that even more, and you get I would say, a better quality video. The other thing about this too, as far as I know, is the episodes, they can be seen in 4K now. I think they are seen in 4K now on YouTube, but you can see them in better 4K on Amazon Prime. Just saying. But yeah, basically those are the benefits. Those are overall the benefits with the show going on Prime, and yes, the risks that that will be taken when it comes to like spoilers and stuff like that in the future. But overall, outside of that, I don't think we have anything to really worry about. We don't have anything to really worry about outside of that, in my opinion. But yeah, those are basically some of the news they brought out in the second day for Helluva Boss. I'm looking forward to it and everything, and all that. When it comes to Prime in the future, I'm looking forward to it. They haven't set a release date yet. They might be talking about that today as we speak, or as I'm recording this. But they haven't put out a release date yet. But I guarantee you when they do, Amazon Prime is going to have a lot of people watching Helluva Boss uncensored, more so than they're watching Invincible and Has Been Hotel. That's a fact. That's a fact. So, again, they haven't given any date for release date yet, but when they do, I guarantee you that's going to happen. So, Amazon Prime Video, prepare for some record numbers when it comes to, your animated shows and everything. But outside of that, not really much more to say. Just wanted to come on here and talk about it, give my thoughts on it. Let me know what your thoughts are. Comment down below, like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, share the video with everybody else if you would like. But guys, give me your thoughts. Give me your overall thoughts on the entire situation. On the entire situation here when it comes to Helluva Boss going to Prime Video and the benefits and everything that are going to come with it. And do you think spoilers will happen, just because there are those that don't have Prime, that only watch it on YouTube? Or do you think we don't have to worry about that because, as I said, a majority of people do have Prime memberships that have Prime Video along with it? Let me know what your thoughts are. Love to hear how you feel about it in the comment section and everything. And until next time, guys, do all the things in the description and everything. Follow me on all these other platforms. Be really appreciated. But let me know what your thoughts are. And until then, guys, I am out. Take care. God bless. But let me know what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear what you have to say.